Hi everyone, welcome back. In the previous lecture, we had discussed regarding the Cartesian coordinate system. Both rectilinear as well as curvilinear motions can be expressed in terms of Cartesian coordinate system. But in some cases of curvilinear motion, the motion can be expressed, I would say, more naturally by using other coordinate systems such as the cylindrical coordinate system or using path variables. Sometimes choosing the cylindrical or path variables, cylindrical coordinate system or path variables helps us in solving the problems much easier compared to the Cartesian coordinate system. Now, before we go on to cylindrical coordinate system, I would like to introduce two basic concepts. The first is angular motion and the second is rotation of unit vector. Angular motion as well as rotation of a unit vector. Let us come to the first topic. Angular motion. Consider I have a line. And that is at a particular angle with respect to a reference line, say L0. I have a line L that is at a particular angle, say we can call this angle as corresponding theta. Now suppose the line undergoes rotation with respect to the reference line L0. In that case, the angular displacement, you must have heard of the term, the angular displacement theta, angular displacement theta is the angle through which the corresponding line L has rotated with respect to the reference axis. The units can either be radians, degrees or revolutions. Now, the rate of change of angular displacement theta is termed as angular velocity. It is usually represented by the term omega. As such, omega will be equal to d theta by dt. d theta by dt. Now, the next term is angular acceleration. Commonly referred by the term alpha. Now, angular acceleration alpha is the rate of change of angular velocity omega. So, as such, alpha is equal to d omega by dt or d square theta by dt square. Now, remember that the angular displacement, angular velocity and angular acceleration, here we are concerned with the rotation of the line with respect to the reference line L0, and hence I shall be representing them as scalars instead of the vector notation. Moving on to the next topic, rotating unit vector. Now, as you see, the directions of the unit vectors along the Cartesian coordinate system, that is I, j and k, these corresponding values are constant. However, in certain other coordinate systems such as the cylindrical coordinate system, the unit vectors that are used to describe the motion of a point rotates as the point moves. I would repeat, the unit vectors used to describe the motion of a point rotate as the corresponding point moves. So to obtain the expressions for the velocity and acceleration in such coordinate systems, we must first know the time derivative of a rotating unit vector. Now, suppose I have a unit vector E that is in a plane. Consider I have a plane like this. Okay, I have a unit vector E that is undergoing an angular rotation with reference to another plane. So this is one plane, this is another plane. I have two planes like this. Okay, one is the reference plane, the other is the plane which keeps on rotating with respect to the reference plane. Now say the corresponding angle at an instant of time, say it is theta. Now this corresponding thing is similar to the rotation of a line which we had discussed in the earlier case. Now we usually use the term E for representing unit vectors or the term epsilon. So when I say E or when I use the term epsilon, it means it is a unit vector. Now suppose the unit vector after a rotation of delta theta, after a rotation, I think I'll draw it bigger. Suppose I have a unit vector E, say at a time t. Now after an interval of time t plus delta t, I have the corresponding angle rotated by the unit vector as delta theta. Now remember one thing, the magnitudes of both these vectors are same. So this corresponding value unit vector will have magnitude 1, this corresponding unit vector will have a magnitude 1. So first at time t, this is the corresponding position. Suppose the angle initially from the reference plane, it is theta. After an interval of time delta t, the corresponding unit vector changes its position, and this is rotating with respect to this corresponding point. Say I name it as O. So this E t plus delta t, both these corresponding vectors have the same magnitude. Now the time derivative of this corresponding unit vector dE by dt is given as limit delta t tends to 0 E t plus delta t minus E of t divided by delta t. Now this corresponding numerator part E t plus delta t minus E of t is equal to a vector in this direction connecting this corresponding point and this corresponding point. So this vector I will represent as delta E. So I can write this as limit delta t tends to 0 delta E by delta t. Remember one thing, delta E is not a unit vector. These two are unit vectors. This is not a unit vector. So we introduce a unit vector in the direction of delta E. Say we call it as n or n cap. We call it as n. Now these three vectors form an isosceles triangle because the magnitude here and here it is same. So they will form isosceles triangle. This is delta theta. Okay, I draw the corresponding perpendicular from this vertex here. This is delta E in terms of magnitude. Now, if you look at this closely, this corresponding angle, since this entire angle is delta theta, this will be delta theta by 2. So, delta E, I'll write this separately. Delta E will be equal to the magnitude of delta E into the unit vector n cap. That will be equal to 2 times sine delta theta by 2 into n cap. Now the magnitude of delta E will be equal to this corresponding value sine of delta theta by 2 plus sine of delta theta by 2. Remember? So 2 sine delta theta by 2 into n cap. Any doubts here? Okay, let's move on. Substituting this corresponding part here, I will get dE by dt is equal to limit delta t tends to 0 to sine delta theta by 2 n cap divided by delta t. Now here what I will do, I will make a small manipulation here. Is equal to limit delta t tends to 0 sine delta theta by 2, okay, divided by delta theta. The 2 here I bring it down here, delta theta by 2 into the remaining part delta theta is here, so I multiply again by delta theta, and this delta t here will come here multiplied by the n cap. Now as you know, limit delta t tends to 0 sine delta theta by 2 by delta theta by 2, this will turn out to be 1. Now limit delta t tends to 0, delta theta by delta t will be equal to d theta by dt into n cap. So from this I can say that the time derivative of the unit vector dE by dt is equal to the time derivative of the corresponding angle d theta multiplied by the unit vector n cap in the direction of delta E. Now if you see closely, as this corresponding to the reference plane changes, as it rotates, the corresponding unit vector n will also change its direction at each and every instant of time. So the derivative of a unit vector, this I can represent as also as theta dot into n. Now we shall be using this expression when we come into the velocity and acceleration components in cylindrical coordinate system. So moving on. Now, even though Cartesian coordinate system can be used in the solution of any problem, it may not always be convenient, as I had stated earlier. So cylindrical coordinate systems becomes useful when, say, the motion either if it is constrained or unconstrained, can be obtained as a measurement of the radial distance and the angular position. So if the motion itself is generated by in terms of a radial distance, say r, and a corresponding angular motion, it becomes better if you express these corresponding systems in terms of the cylindrical coordinate system. Now look at the figure here. This will show you the cylindrical coordinate system. Here we have a fixed reference plane and a rotating plane. Now the angle is measured from the reference plane in an anti-clockwise direction, usually represented by theta or phi. The intersection of the two planes represents the z-axis. A fixed point O is chosen along this corresponding z-axis. The ray that lies in the reference plane, starting at the origin and pointing in the reference direction, is called the polar axis. Here in this figure, OA is the polar axis. Now, for your convenience, I shall be representing the cylindrical coordinate system along with the Cartesian coordinate system as expressed in the Schaef's textbook. Here the polar axis is along the x-axis of the Cartesian coordinate system, and the position of a particle is represented by the coordinates r dash, theta and z, where r dash is called the radial distance and theta is the angular position which is measured with respect to the reference plane. Z is altitude. So looking at the figure again, you can see that there is a radial distance r dash, there is an angular position given by theta and altitude given by z. We can also develop the relations between the Cartesian and cylindrical coordinate system in this corresponding representation. So we have here x equals r dash cos theta, y equals r dash sin theta. Now the value of r dash will be equal to root of x square plus y square. Now the corresponding angle theta is tan inverse y by x. So if you look at the figure, the unit vectors associated with the cylindrical coordinates are three: epsilon z, epsilon r and epsilon theta. Now epsilon z is aligned along the z-axis as in the Cartesian coordinate system. This is called the axial direction. Epsilon r is normal to the z-axis in the plane of the radial direction. Epsilon r changes as the plane rotates. The next unit vector is epsilon theta, which is normal to both epsilon z and epsilon r. This is called the transverse direction. If you see the figure again, you can see the position vector r of the particle can be expressed as r dash epsilon r plus z epsilon z. The position vector determines the direction of the unit vectors epsilon r and epsilon theta at any time t, as the corresponding plane in which the point P lies rotates. Epsilon r and epsilon theta will rotate, whereas epsilon z is a constant. Now if I differentiate the position vector r, I will get, with respect to time, I will get the velocity vector v. Now if I differentiate this corresponding part, I will have r dash dot epsilon r plus r dash epsilon r dot plus z epsilon z. Now this corresponding first part of the position vector, epsilon r is changing with respect to time. So when I differentiate, I have to differentiate by parts. However, epsilon z is constant, and hence when I differentiate, I just have to write z dot into epsilon z. Now remember one thing, epsilon r is the unit vector which keeps on rotating. Now look at this figure, which shows that the plane rotates by an angle delta theta after a time interval delta t. The figure also shows the unit vectors at time t and at time t plus delta t. Now let us use the concept of rotation of a unit vector which we had derived earlier. If you look at the corresponding figure on the right hand side, as the value of delta t tends to 0, the time derivative of epsilon r moving along the rotating plane, here I am referring to this delta r dot here. So delta r dot, or which I can represent as d epsilon r by dt, where epsilon r is the unit vector. Now we had derived earlier that dE of dt is equal to d theta by dt into unit vector n. Okay, that is equal to theta dot. Now if you look closely once again at the figure, as the value of delta t tends to 0, n cap would be equal to epsilon theta, the unit vector normal to epsilon r and epsilon z. So n cap will be epsilon theta. So remember this equation, I am writing it down here. Epsilon r dot is equal to theta dot into epsilon theta. So applying that equation here, I would get this as r dash dot epsilon r plus r dash into, I am replacing it here, theta dot into epsilon theta plus z dot into epsilon z. This I can represent as Vr into epsilon r plus V theta into epsilon theta plus Vz into epsilon z. So remember this equation here, Vr will be equal to r dash dot, V theta is equal to r dash theta dot, and Vz is equal to z dot. Remember one thing, when I say the dot, it is actually the derivative with respect to time here. So derivative of r dash with respect to time, theta dot indicates derivative of theta with respect to time, z dot dz by dt. Now let's move on. I write the velocity vector once again. V vector is equal to r dash dot epsilon r plus r dash theta dot epsilon theta plus z dot epsilon z. Now, if I differentiate the velocity vector with respect to time, I would get acceleration. So, A vector is equal to d vector by dv by dt. Now, if I differentiate so this corresponding, I differentiate with respect to parts. This has 3 terms. So when I differentiate parts, I'll have here 3 terms here, and z dot Ez, since does not change with respect to time, so z dot will be z double dot into epsilon z. Now, if you look at this closely, this term here appears once again. So I can write it here as now look at here. We shall now dive into the time derivative of epsilon theta. Now look at the figure here, which shows the rotation of the unit vector epsilon theta during the same time interval. Here epsilon theta also rotates by the same angle delta theta. You can see here on the right hand side, okay, the corresponding rotation. Now the time derivative of epsilon theta can be given as epsilon theta dot is equal to d epsilon theta by dt, which is equal to, if you remember it correctly, it is d theta by dt into n vector, where n vector is along the direction of delta epsilon theta as shown in this figure. We can observe that as the value of delta t tends to 0, the unit vector n is opposite to the unit vector epsilon r. So I can write this as d theta by dt is theta dot n vector will be equal to minus epsilon r. So remember that equation once again here. E theta dot is equal to minus theta dot epsilon r. Remember the earlier equation, epsilon r dot is equal to theta dot into epsilon theta. So substituting this corresponding value here, I would get epsilon theta dot is equal to minus theta dot and epsilon r. So theta dot comes twice. So I can write this as theta dot square. Now this corresponding plus sign will change to minus sign into epsilon r plus z double dot into epsilon z. Now I shall wait here for some time for you to copy it down. If I club together the common parts, I have epsilon r here, r dash double dot, and then here minus r dash theta dot square plus epsilon theta. I have here r dash dot theta dot e theta, r dash theta dot e theta, and r dash theta double dot e theta. I think I have made a mistake here. It is here r dash dot. Okay, so I have these two parts plus this corresponding that. So I can write this as plus r dash theta double dot plus 2 r dash theta dot epsilon theta plus z double dot epsilon z, which is equal to ar into epsilon r plus a theta into epsilon theta plus az into epsilon z. Where ar is equal to r dash double dot minus r dash theta dot square, which I can write it as d square r dash by dt square minus r dash d theta by dt the whole square, which I can write it as d square r dash by dt square minus r dash d theta by dt is actually omega, so I can write it as omega square. Now a theta is r dash theta double dot plus 2 r dash dot theta dot, which is equal to d square theta by dt square r dash plus 2 dr by dt d theta by dt. This I can represent as r dash into d square theta by dt square is actually angular acceleration alpha plus 2 dr by dt into d theta by dt is omega, angular velocity. And finally az is z double dot, which is equal to d square z by dt square. So better if you learn these corresponding ar equals this value, a theta equals this value, az equals this value. Instead of learning this equation by heart, which may be difficult for you, better learn it by parts in terms of omega and alpha. So I'll write it. Now we shall move on to a question. A flyball governor has the following data at the instant of interest. Omega equals 0.2 radians per second, omega dot equals 0.04 radians per second square, alpha equals 45 degrees, alpha dot equals 5 radians per second, alpha double dot equals 0.2 radians per second square. If at this instant the arms are in the xz plane, give the velocity and acceleration vectors of the spheres using the cylindrical coordinates for the axial, transverse and radial direction. The figure for flyball governor is shown here. Flyball governors is also sometimes referred to as centrifugal governors. Flyball usually consists of two heavy masses that are attached to two collars. The collars are attached to a vertical rod. The upper collar is usually fixed while the lower collar can move up and downwards. Now, depending upon the rotation of rod, heavy masses tend to undergo revolutions and move away from the axis. A flywheel governor is usually used in older machines for controlling the fuel injections or for letting out steam or even for knowing the RPM of the machine. The given data are L equals 0.3 meter, alpha equals 45 degrees. Then theta dot is given to you as 0.2 radians per second. Theta double dot is also given to you as 0.04 radians per second square. Alpha dot is given to you as 5 radians per second. Alpha double dot is given to you as 0.2 radians per second square. Now make an important point here. Theta represents the corresponding angular rotation of the axis, while alpha represents the corresponding inclination of the rod with respect to the vertical axis, as shown in this figure. We have the equation here, Vr equals r dash dot into epsilon r plus r dash into theta dot epsilon theta plus z dot epsilon z. If you look at the figure here, you can see that r dash represents the distance of the ball from the axis. R dash equals L sine alpha, where alpha is the angle of inclination of the rod with respect to the vertical axis, which is equal to 0.3 sine 45, which is approximately equal to 0.2121 meter per second. Now, r dash dot, if you differentiate this, we get L cos alpha into alpha dot. Substituting the values, 0.3 cos 45 into alpha dot. Alpha dot, the value is 5. So, on solving this, you will get the answer 1.061 meter per second. Now, z dot, we require here r dash dot. We already know the value of theta dot and z dot. If you look at the figure, the vertical position of the ball can be given as L cos alpha in the negative direction. So, as such, z equals minus L cos alpha. So, z dot will be equal to minus L sine alpha. The derivative of cos is minus sine, so this will become plus into alpha dot. So, as such, z dot is equal to L alpha dot sine alpha. Substituting the values, 0.3 into alpha dot, it is 5 radians per second into cos 45, which will give you a value of 1.061 meter per second. Substituting these values, we will get V vector equals 1.061 epsilon r plus 0.2121 theta dot, it is 0.2 into epsilon theta plus z dot, we got it as 1.061 epsilon z, which is equal to 1.061 epsilon r plus, if you multiply this, you will get the value of 0.04242 epsilon r plus 1.061 epsilon z meter per second. Since in the question it is mentioned to find the velocity vector in terms of the three components, so here it is epsilon theta, okay, in terms of the radial component, in terms of the transverse component, and in terms of the axial direction. So as such, I have obtained the velocity vector in terms of the three components. Now moving on to the next part, that is acceleration. Now we have acceleration vector equals r dash double dot minus r theta dot square epsilon r plus r dash dot theta dot minus 2r dash dot theta dot epsilon theta plus z double dot epsilon z. Now we already know the values of r theta dot r1 r dash dot theta dot. So we have to find the values of z double dot and r dash double dot. Now from the earlier thing, we knew that r dash is equal to L cos alpha into alpha dot. So r dash double dot will be equal to L cos alpha into alpha double dot minus L sin alpha into alpha dot square. Alpha, if I differentiate become alpha dot, this alpha dot multiplied by this alpha dot will give you alpha dot square. So substituting the value, L equals 0.3 cos 45 to alpha double dot, I think the value is 0.2, okay, minus 0.3 sin 45 and alpha dot, I think the value is 5, so 5 square. Now this value will turn out to be minus 5.26 meter per second square. Similarly, we have to know the value of z double dot. We know that z dot equals L sin alpha into alpha dot. So z double dot will be equal to L sin alpha into alpha double dot plus L cos alpha into alpha dot square. So substituting, you will get 0.3 sin 45 into alpha double dot, I think the value is 0.2 plus L is actually 0.3 cos 45, the alpha dot square is 5 square. So if you substitute this, you will get the value of 5.345 meter per second square. Now substituting these z double dot, r dash double dot and the rest of the values which you obtained earlier, we can get the value of minus 5.268 epsilon r plus 0.4329 epsilon theta plus 5.345 epsilon z. So substitute and try if you get this corresponding answer. So here also we have obtained the velocity components, acceleration components in the three cylindrical coordinates. Now let us move on to the next topic, curvilinear motion in a plane. Now here we shall be representing the curvilinear motion that is restricted to a single plane using the cylindrical coordinate system. So in that case, the value of z will be equal to 0. Similarly, r dash will be equal to r in case the corresponding motion is restricted in a single plane. This corresponding coordinate system is also known as polar coordinates. It is actually a reduced format of the cylindrical coordinate system. So the velocity and the acceleration vectors here shall be given as r dot epsilon r plus r theta dot epsilon theta. Since the value of z is equal to 0, z dot and z double dot will all be equal to 0. As such, we will get the value here. And acceleration A will be represented in terms of r double dot minus plus r theta double dot plus 2r dot theta dot into epsilon theta. Here also z double dot will be equal to 0. So we will have the two corresponding values in terms of the radial as well as the transverse direction. Now this can also be represented as dr by dt into epsilon r plus r into d theta by dt into epsilon theta, which will be equal to dr by dt epsilon r plus r omega epsilon theta. Now here d square r by dt square minus r d theta by dt the whole square epsilon r plus r into d square theta by dt square plus 2 dr by dt d theta by dt epsilon theta. I can also write this as d square r by dt square minus r into d theta by dt is omega, so omega square epsilon r plus r into d square by theta by dt square is alpha plus 2 dr by dt into d theta by dt is omega. I can also give the corresponding velocity vectors in terms of Vr and V theta, and the acceleration vector so here Vr will be equal to r dot, V theta is equal to r theta dot, or I can write it as r omega. Similarly, we can write acceleration in terms of ar and a theta. Ar will be equal to r double dot minus r alpha, and A theta will be equal to R alpha plus 2 R dot omega. So I can use the corresponding these format also for solving the problems. So it will be easier for you if you learn the equations in this corresponding way. Now the magnitude of velocity and acceleration can be simply given as Vr square by into plus V theta square the whole root, and A is AR square plus A theta square the whole root. So let us do a problem regarding polar coordinates. A wheel is rotating at time t with an angular speed omega of 5 radians per second. At this instant, the wheel also has a rate of change of angular speed of 2 radians per second square. A body B is moving along a spoke at this instant with a speed of 3 meter per second relative to the spoke, and is increasing in its speed at the rate of 1.6 meter per second square. These data are given when the spoke on which B is moving is vertical and when B is 0.6 meter from the center of the wheel as shown in the diagram. What are the velocity and acceleration of B at this instant relative to the fixed reference x, y, z? Now if you look at this question, the question is given in terms of the Cartesian coordinates. However, it would be much easier if you solve the question in the polar coordinates, and hence we shall be employing the polar coordinates for solving this problem. Given data are r equals 0.6 meter, theta dot equals 5 radians per second, theta double dot equals 2 radians per second square. The next is r dot and r double dot. Now if you look at the question closely, we can see that the corresponding body B is moving towards center at a speed of 3 meter per second square and is having an increase in speed, that is acceleration of 1.6 meter per second square. So as such, the value of r dot, since it is moving towards the center, it will become minus 0.3 meter per second, and the acceleration will be equal to minus 1.6 meter per second square since it is moving towards the center. Now here the corresponding velocity vector v will be equal to r dot epsilon r minus r theta dot epsilon theta. Now every value is given to you, so minus 0.3 epsilon r minus the value of r is 0.6, theta dot is 5 into epsilon theta. So this will become minus 0.3 epsilon r minus 0.3 epsilon minus 3 epsilon theta meter per second. So this is the answer of velocity. Now moving on to acceleration. Acceleration A equals r double dot minus r theta dot square epsilon r plus r theta double dot plus 2 r dot theta dot epsilon theta. Now substituting the values, we have here minus 1.6 minus the value of r, it is 0.6, so 0.6 into theta dot, it is 5, so 5 square epsilon r plus r, the value is 0.6, so 0.6 into theta double dot, the value is 2 plus 2 into r dot the value is minus 3, theta dot the value is 5. So this will give you a value of minus 16.6 epsilon r minus 28.8 epsilon theta. This is the value of meter per second square. Now moving on to the next topic, circular motion in cylindrical coordinate system. Now if the corresponding motion is restricted to a circle in a single xy plane, in that case r bar dot and z dot will be equal to 0 and r bar will be equal to r. Hence we get the corresponding velocity and the acceleration components in a much reduced format. So here the velocity v vector will be equal to r theta dot epsilon theta. Epsilon r value will become 0 and the acceleration vector a will turn out to be minus r theta dot square epsilon r plus r theta double dot epsilon theta. So the corresponding equation will be further reduced. Now this is in the case of a circular path. Now this I can further represent as r omega epsilon theta, and this corresponding equation I can represent in terms of much reduced format, minus r omega square epsilon r plus r alpha epsilon theta. Now if you look at these equations closely as shown in this figure, you can notice that the velocity is tangent to the path of the circle. Since it has only epsilon theta, it is tangent to the path and its magnitude is equal to r omega. And the corresponding acceleration has two components, one along the radial component and the other along the transverse component, also referred to as tangential component. So the radial component AR will be equal to minus r omega square, which can also be represented in terms of the velocity of the path v. So I can represent as minus v square by r. Remember, I am expressing only magnitude, not direction. Okay, these are magnitudes alone in case of a circular motion. Similarly, the corresponding tangential value will have a magnitude of r alpha. These equations you must have previously studied when dealing with circular motion. So as such, we can reduce the corresponding cylindrical coordinate system for expressing the motion in a circle in an xy plane. So with this, we shall wind up today's session. In the next class, we shall be dealing with path variables, which is also an effective representation for curvilinear motions. Thank you all.